Hello, my name is Bobby, and in this video we're going to be looking at triggers in ScriptRunner Connect. ScriptRunner Connect is an integration platform that gives you the ability to create connections to your tools and then write scripts to create unique and powerful integrations between those tools, making a truly powerful software ecosystem. In ScriptRunner Connect, there are three ways to execute scripts, also known as triggers. These are manual execution, being able to execute the script at press of a button; event listeners, configuring a script to run when we detect events from your tools; and then schedule triggers, being able to have a script that runs periodically every day, every week, every second Tuesday of the month. We're going to be looking at all three of these in our setup guide workspaces so that you can see how you can use them to get the most out of ScriptRunner Connect. So, in the first one we're going to be looking at, which is manual execution, you can see here that I'm in a setup guide that I've already gone through a number of the steps for. For this particular template that we're using, we are exporting all the users in a Jira Cloud instance into a Google Sheet. For this is only done manually, so at the press of a button. You could configure this to run as a scheduled script, but this is not how this template currently functions. So you can see here on the very last step, once we have gone through the review process, that we have the run stage and we have the ability to run the script here when and however we want. When you press play and run the script, this will execute the script that has been defined for this template and perform the action, i.e. exporting the users in the Jira Cloud instance. You will notice that there is a triggers section here with event listeners and schedule triggers listed, but this particular template, because it uses neither of these features, is blank. So you will see that there are no event listeners for this template, and nor are there any scheduled triggers. Next, we can go to the second example, which is event listeners. So this particular template here is designed to allow you to create synchronization between ServiceNow and Jira Cloud. So this is a very event-based template, depending on events from Jira Cloud and ServiceNow. So when I go to the trigger section of this particular template, the event listeners are listed here. As with the previous one, there are no scheduled triggers as part of this template, so this will be blank. But all of the event listeners for this particular template will be listed here. You can see I've completed all but two, just to show you what it looks like. When you come to this step to set up any of the event listeners, is exactly the same as manage connections in that we take you through a guided process of how exactly to do that. The guided process you will see here is generic, and anything that needs to be unique is defined in the README. So for example, on step 27, perform this particular action. All you need to do is select the edit button. This will give you an overview of the listener you're about to create. You then continue on, and then you get guided setup instructions on exactly how to create this. You just follow the instructions, going through, takes you through every single step so that you can create that particular event listener in this example to ServiceNow. And again, the same with Jira Cloud, just click edit. We have all of the options that we're going to be creating for here. Continue to the webhook, do the creation process as defined here, click done, and you have now created all of your webhooks. With event listeners and schedule triggers, as we'll see in a short while, you do have the option to run a test payload, which is executing these scripts manually. So if I just continue on through the parameters and just give this the basic information it needs. Continue to scripts, continue to review, and then continue to run. You can see here that under the top we have manual triggers, which are scripts that could be run manually. These are not designed to be run manually, so I wouldn't recommend it. But you do also have the event listener section. With event listeners, we have the option for you to define a test payload and then manually press play to test what the scripts will do when you run that particular event. So for example, I could generate the payload that would come from Jira Cloud when an issue is created, and then go to the Jira Cloud issue created event listener, which is here, and run a test event. This would then execute the script with that test payload, and you can then see what that script would do. So in this case, it would obviously go and create an incident in ServiceNow with a link back to the Jira issue that's defined in that test payload. Every way of doing this is defined here so that you can check and see if you would like to test these payloads, if you would like to test these event listeners with custom payloads. Third but not least are scheduled triggers. So if I go into this particular workspace, you can see here, we're on the step to define the trigger. In this particular template, we are communicating with our HR tool, Bamboo HR, through the generic connector and getting a list of users and checking to see if they're on holiday and listing out any users that are on holiday into a Slack channel. So when I go to the trigger section, you can see here I have a scheduled trigger to define. If I go to event listeners, none are selected. When I go to define a scheduled trigger, I have two options. Either use the schedule builder, which is formatted in more of a readable way, or you can define cron. Either one gives you the ability to define a schedule that meets your needs. So this is the schedule builder, and this is the ability to write cron into this input box here with some documentation below to help you structure your cron expression. I'm going to use the schedule builder, so create a schedule that runs every day at 9 a.m. There's a little box underneath that tells you exactly what you've selected means. I can click confirm, review the schedule here, say I'm happy, and click save. As with event listeners, you can manually run triggers that are defined to be run, or manually run scripts that are defined to be run on a schedule. So if I continue through the parameters in the same way I did with event listeners, so just add what it needs from me here, go through scripts, go through the review, and go to the last page. I do have the option to go and execute this script manually at the press of a button. If I wanted to test to see what it's going to output at any given point in time, I have this option. Otherwise, I can go to complete setup and this will run tomorrow at 9 a.m. for me. So there are the three ways that you can configure scripts to be run in ScriptRunner Connect, giving you a number of options in terms of how you want to build and configure your integrations between the tools in your software ecosystem. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great rest of the day.